Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you know, I am trying to film some backlogged videos that I have not been able to for various reasons. And today I wanted to show you guys what I got for the month of June, July, and August. I decided to combine 3 just so we can kind of get these out of the way a little faster. The next video will actually be on time. I'll show you what I got for September and October. But with this video, we're going to be caught up with what I've purchased this year. So yeah, there's quite a bit here. I'm not going to talk too much this time, just going to get right into it. Again, we're going to start with things that I got from either Barnes & Noble, possibly Books A Million, maybe Amazon for a couple of them. Let's just get right into it. So first up, during one of these months, I forget if it was June or July, they were having their manga sale at Barnes & Noble, and so I made some purchases. The first ones that I got for the sale was a series that I actually haven't started collecting yet, or I hadn't before this, but I couldn't really find anything else that I wanted, and I wanted to take advantage of it, so I knew eventually I would start collecting these, so I decided to start, even though I still haven't started the series. But I got volumes 1 and 2 of Assassination Classroom. I just hear always good things about this, so I just wanted to pick these up just to kind of start it off, have a little placeholder before I can finally get into collecting and reading this one. Also during the same sale, I picked up volumes 2 and 3 of Dark. This is one that I've read the first volume of, I believe, and I really liked it, so I wanted to pick these up. I also love the covers. I think they're really cool. The quality of them is nice, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this as well a little bit more. Assassination Classroom, I haven't read a page of that yet, but Dark, I did read the first volume and I really enjoyed it, so I decided to pick up the next couple of volumes that I needed for that. And I'm trying to think, I had them separated, but I did accidentally put them aside with my other stuff, so I'm gonna just show you all of the volumes during those 3 months that I purchased of this series. Just know, I think I got 3 or 4 volumes of this during the sale. So I got a big chunk of the holes in my collection for Bungo Stray Dogs. So I got volume 6, volume 8, 9, 16, 17, 22, and 23. This is a series that I really want to start. If you watched my last video, you know that the next series I'm probably going to start is Tokyo Ghoul, but this, I'm either going to read this in conjunction with that or directly after it, because I want to start this just as much, really, really badly. But it's still ongoing though, this one, whereas that one is complete, so I thought it might just be easier to read that. I didn't pick up all of these during the sale. This was throughout the 3 months I picked these up, but I think I picked up 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember which ones during the sale. But yeah, so I got 7 volumes of Bungo Stray Dogs. Next up, I just picked up, this was the latest release at the time of JJK, volume 22. I can't believe JJK is completed in Japan. That's crazy to me. I thought there was so much story left, but this is a series that I have accidentally spoiled certain parts of for myself through leaks. I didn't look it up, but people don't tag their stuff online, so I've had to blacklist a lot. But before I knew to do that, some points were spoiled for me. But the ending hasn't been spoiled for me, but I did hear some people were upset about it. That's all I know. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is I got volume 22. I also picked up Tokyo Revengers, 21 to 22, the omnibus, self-explanatory there. This one is one I really want to start, really badly. I've heard so much about this. I feel like I haven't read and also don't own a lot of series like this. I don't know what it is about this, just what I've heard. I really want to start it. For some reason, they don't often carry a lot of, if any, copies or volumes of this at any of the Barnes & Nobles near me, but it is delicious in Dungeon. I always know it as Dungeon Meshi from online. I picked up volume 1. I want to get into this so badly, but I don't have that many volumes right now. This was the first volume I picked up ever of this series. I was very excited to find it in store. This is one I never also see at half-price books or anything, so I knew I had to pick this up. It's also that material, if you watch my last video, you know I'm pretty big on what the spines look like and just the covers in general, but for how they look, I don't want to pick one up if it's junky, so in the rare case I see any volumes of this anywhere, a lot of times it will be like a little peeled at the side or whatever, but this one was in good shape, so I was very happy to find this. Let me know what you think of this if you've read it. I know this has like a very decent, at least like online audience. I've heard so much about it and I'm very excited to read this. Next one, I love this little series and I was excited to pick this up. This is Mr. Villain's Day Off. I love this series as a little palate cleanser. It's so cute and wholesome and funny, and I love it. I was very happy to pick that up. If you've read it, you know. If you haven't, you should try it if you like just something a little more lighthearted. Next up, I think I've mentioned this in multiple videos of mine, but before I ever read manga, I read manhwa, and I read this back when it was coming out and when it was released, so I was very excited that they were doing physical releases of this. I haven't opened it or anything, I've already read it, but I read it back when it was on a Lezen, but that is volume 3 of The Dangerous Convenience Store. If you know, you know. I don't know. I'm very excited because I do think there are going to be a lot more upcoming releases of the popular Korean titles, online Korean titles, and I'm very excited about that, even though they are a little pricey, which is sad. I get it, but you know, what can you do? But I'm very excited that this has a physical release. The next one I picked up because for some reason I could never find this at a physical store and I didn't really want to purchase it online. And I found it at a Barnes & Noble. I think I picked up the other ones in this series all at Half Price Books, but this one I could just never find at Barnes & Noble or Half Price Books or anywhere physically. And that is Tower of God, Volume 2. Specifically Volume 2 I could just never find. And I found this one, so I was very happy about that. And so I had to pick that up. I've only read the first volume of this, and I really enjoyed it so far. So I'm very excited to get a little more into that. And then this one I mentioned in I think my first video. This is one that the live action I already watched and I love it. I still haven't started the manhwa version of it, but I am excited to, just because I love the show so much. So I don't know, in another medium is always fun, and that is The Uncanny Counter. If you haven't watched this, I would highly, highly recommend it. If not, you can read it, but it is so good. I think it's still on Netflix. Yeah, it's Netflix. So really, really good show. Love this one. Next one I picked up is one that I still need to catch up on the latest volumes of, but that is The Boxer. A lot of people have read this. You probably know this one already, but I am keeping up with it because I know once I pick these series back up that I have to catch up on, I'm just gonna zip through the ones I have. So it is good to kind of have a little backlog because, like I mentioned in my last video, my memory is kind of shot because I'm so busy all the time that I forget things, so I wait a little while for more volumes to come out before I kind of kick back into it, you know? So that is The Boxer, Volume 6. So the next ones I picked up, I read a long time ago. It wasn't the first manga series I ever read, but it was before, so after I read my first manga series, which I mentioned in the final video of that big anime manga merch unboxing haul thing, I mentioned what my first series was, and I mentioned that I did not start really reading manga until a while after that, like at least a year or a couple of years or something. I don't know, something like that. But this one I think was an exception. I did forget about this. I did read this before it started coming out in English. I read it online and I really, really liked it. And that is Lullaby of the Dawn. I haven't read everything that's been released because I think that when I read it, it hadn't all been released, if I'm not mistaken. At least I didn't see the completed version, or maybe I didn't read it, I don't know. But it might still be ongoing. I have no idea. I have to look that up. But it is Lullaby of the Dawn. A great BL series. I really, really like this one. It's a cool premise. It's unique. It's got fantasy, great main couple, beautiful art. Yeah, I love the art in this one, and just really, really interesting elements. So the silver-haired character, I have to reread these volumes because it has been quite a while since I read it online, but from what I remember, he's kind of this warrior from a warrior class. Oh yeah, so he's a warrior priest. And he's from a class that fights these creatures, and they are always like they have this kind of evidence on them, this blackening of the skin. If you can see on his hand, that's his skin blackening. That is kind of proof. They're all kind of doomed to this fate with every creature they kill. It's this kind of corruption that winds up killing them. He meets this character who's kind of like taken by him, and he vows to serve him and wants to protect him from that fate. And this kind of starts with like, there's like kind of a jump after that, and I think it says it back here, yeah, like 8 years. It starts following them. He's still completely devoted to him, and it's just it was great. I remember really loving it. So I didn't even know this was getting an English release. I almost even forgot about it. I knew it existed, I just hadn't thought of it afterwards. I saw this on the shelf at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, that's mine. And then, same day, I mean, they were all on the shelf together. This is how little I knew. I had no idea, and I guess they just didn't have it in stock whenever I went to that Barnes & Noble, because I would have seen it. But they also had volumes 2... how cute they are, and volume 3 of that. I was so excited, I instantly just snapped them up. But great series. I don't know the equivalent of how far I've gotten. I don't know if I got to volume 3 or not, but I mean, either way, I'm going to be rereading them. But if you are into BL or just romance or anything fantasy, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just remember really, really liking this, so I'm excited to revisit this for sure very soon. And then I briefly talked about this in my last video, but Chainsaw Man Volume 7 I picked up. This was one that I didn't have. I still have not read or watched this. Crazy, I know. I explained why then. I won't do it again, but yeah, I picked that up. And then again, like I said in my last video, hard to find this one in good shape for some reason in my area. Don't know if it's a my area thing. I don't know if it's also for other people, but I found a couple of decent copies of Black Butler. So I picked up Volume 4 and Volume 9 of Black Butler. This is still one, again, I'm filling in the gaps before I continue. I know this one is also like controversial, but I don't care. I'm still reading it. So, yeah, Black Butler. I don't know how it is in the later volumes, but we're gonna find out. Next one, again, discussed this one in my last video, but this had been the latest copy of Sakamoto Days, so I picked that up. Another one I'm very excited to get into. This one is another BL. I loved the first volume. So this one, I'm actually surprised. I'm looking at it and I loved the first one, so I'm kind of surprised I didn't just immediately read this one. But it's another BL, and it's actually Omegaverse, and it is Never Let Go. I'm very hit or miss with Omegaverse because I don't love, like, for the most part, I shouldn't say all the time because there are exceptions, but I'm not really big into media with, like, not necessarily little kids. Like, if little kids are the main characters, that's one thing, but, like, couples that have kids, like, in the story. I don't know how to explain it, but, you know, obviously Omegaverse, unless it's, you know, not traditional, it often comes with the territory, and this is a traditional coupling in Omegaverse. So, I mean, at this point in the story, no one's pregnant, no one's had a kid, and I love these two. I love the story. It is pretty dark, at least in the first one. It gets into some really dark topics, but the couple themselves, it's very green flag couple. Like, the alpha in the situation is very green flag, about like trauma, healing from that. It's a really good one. I like it a lot. Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, feel free to read it. Like I said, Omegaverse is very, very hit or miss for me. If I know there's like pregnancy in a story, I typically don't usually go for it. Just I'm not into that whole thing. But yeah, this one I really like, so I'm surprised I haven't read this volume yet, but I will definitely do it soon now that I remember I have it. Next one is one that I read the first couple of volumes, and then I completely fell off on reading it, not for any particular reason, it's just the lack of time, and that is Kaiju number 8. I'm still consistently keeping up with the releases, though, because this is one I really liked when I started it, and I know I'm going to want to keep going with it. So, Kaiju number 8, volume 10. I picked up. I think that was the latest release at the time. And then again, just like last video, I'm slowly filling in those holes for Haikyuu. So I picked up volume 3 and volume 9 of that. And then this next one, I love this series. So this is a BL called The Birds of, or just Birds of Shangri-La. If you know the BL Coyote, it's from the same mangaka, and I kind of have beef with Coyote right now, just because the author put this on a hiatus because they're focusing on Coyote. Absolutely do your thing, but this is my jam, bro. I love this series. I started Coyote. I don't know how I feel about it yet, just because of some sketchy stuff that happened, and I almost sold the copy that I have of the first volume because I was like, I don't know if I like that, but I was like, maybe I should just give it a chance. This one, never had any doubts about. This one is so good. I love this one. I love the premise. I think I talked about it. Did I talk about this in my first video? I don't remember. It's not like some insane premise. It's just the art, and first of all, the art is So good. But also just like the characters and how the story is told is unique in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. It's set in a male brothel with a straight man, and this is the other character. It's just the way it's told is so, it's so gripping. I don't know. It's so easy to read. The pacing is really interesting. The tension between them is so good. But I am completely caught up on this. It's just on a hiatus, and it ended on like a cliffhanger with them, and I'm so mad. I'm not mad, it's just like, I'm not mad at like the mangaka, because obviously like focus on what you need to focus on. I'm just, whenever this gets started again, I'm gonna eat it up, because this is my favorite from Mamoru Rosaria easily. So very excited for this to start back up again. This is the final release before the hiatus started, indefinite hiatus. So yeah, this is just, I love this. And then this one, I know I talked about this in my first video, and I still haven't started it because this one is hard to find a decent looking copy of any of the volumes of this, because I think I told you in the first video I did that I picked up whatever volume I had. Was it the first one? I don't remember. I think it was the first one, because of the cover, because it was some of the prettiest cover I had seen. And like, then I read a little bit of it, and then some of the excerpt or some of the synopsis, and it was very interesting, and I really want to read it, but I cannot find, first of all, they don't ever have like a huge selection of them at the Barnes and Nobles, and then also really hard to find anything that's not like ripped up on the sides. Anyway, it's Phantom Tales of the Night. This is the final volume, actually. So I think I have the first and final volumes. Just the cover, man. Like, this is kind of like embossed here, shiny, and then just, that's so pretty. Yeah, so there's 12 total volumes of this, and this is the final one. I still haven't like started it. I'm wary to buy these online because they do get damaged so easily, but at this point I might have to just suck it up because I really want to start this one. It's just the premise of it seems right up my alley, and so I'm looking forward to that. So that is everything that I purchased either from Barnes & Noble, or if I maybe got one or two off of Amazon or Books A Million, I'm not sure. I think I might have gotten all of them from Barnes & Noble, but yeah, that's all of those. Next, we are going to move on to what I got from Half Price Books. For Half Price Books, there's quite a bit here. I'm just going to start off like I usually do. If I have a light novel, I'll just start off with that. I'm not going to explain again that I'm still on my first light novel series, but I do still collect them to read them later on because I get through books a bit more slowly, obviously, with everything I have going on. I still collect them though when I see them at Half Price Books specifically, because I know I have to grab them up because I'm not going to find them at that price anywhere else. Anyway, this is Stars of Chaos Volume 1, another one I want to start at some point. They've been really good, Half Price Books, recently with having some good light novel selections. I don't know, the ones near me at least. It's not like they're always there, but they do tend to have some decent selections for what it is, so very happy. I think this was the first copy of this I've picked up. Then the next one is one that I am working on getting more of before I start to fill in some holes, but I love a good little vampire series. I don't care, I love a good little vampire series. I love it. So I picked up Seraph of the End, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 6, and Volume 7. So I think I picked these all up in one trip. I've been making some good progress with this. Seraph of the End is one that tends to be, I can find these at Half Price Books at least once or twice a month, so happy to have gotten these, and all of them still have their posters. I picked up a lot at Half Price Books of Seraph of the End, and I think only one volume so far has not had the poster in it. I think that's a cute little touch that they have little mini posters. This next one is one actually I had been eyeing for a while, but my brother said he had watched it, either read it or watched it, and he suggested it, and his range of what he likes is a lot wider than mine. Like, there's a lot of genres he likes that I am not into at all. So sometimes our interests don't align, but with stuff that we're both interested in, I do trust his judgment. With this one, I read the synopsis and I think I'll really enjoy it. And then just a few days after he suggested it to me, I found this, which I usually don't find this series at Half Price Books, but it's Dead Mount Death Play, one that I really want to get into. Just sounds really good, so I'm looking forward to starting that. I do want to get a few more volumes though before I start this one. And then I think possibly with these two, I've completed everything that I need from this series. Another one that's crazy that I haven't read yet. I'm gonna be a beginner for like at least another year or two, because there are so many big mangas that I have not read. But anyway, these were the last two that I needed, and now I have the full set of Death Note, the Black Edition, Volume 5 and Volume 6 I purchased at Half Price Books, so I was very excited. These were the only two volumes they had, and these were the only two volumes I needed, so I was very excited about that. So any day now I can start these. It's not a massively long series, so this is one I definitely can knock out pretty soon. This has also been in my top 5 for a while, so definitely need to start that. And then usually with like the new releases, I don't bother with Half Price Books because Half Price Books is where I go for like things that are half price. And when there's a new release, it's not half price. It's just a little bit discounted. I saw this there and I was just like, what the hell? I'll just pick it up. It doesn't matter. And that was at the time the newest volume of My Hero. I'm still, so I'm in too deep at this point for me to stop collecting this. But I need to start reading it to know if I should keep going or not, because at this point, I really shouldn't still be going with this. For the sole fact, I talked about this also in my merch unboxing haul videos, that My Hero, I have a very complicated relationship with the show. It's taking me a while to get through because a lot of it I'm not a fan of. There's just a select few characters that keep me watching it. But when I told my brother that, he was telling me how the manga is a bit different. It's a bit grittier, not like different, but like grittier, less like aimed for little kids in a way, I guess. I don't know. There's more gripes I have about it than just that kind of thing, but I want to still read it. But I'm in too deep because when I first started collecting manga, My Hero, there was like every volume at Half Price Books, so I'm current on My Hero collecting wise because I was able to just get them all there over a certain period of time. So I would feel like, oh, I'm in too deep, but also like you don't have to keep collecting it. Catch up with what, I don't know, it's just like instinct at this point. When I see a new copy, I get it. But I really have to start reading it to see if I like it any better than the show. Because if I don't, and I feel the same way about this that I do the show, I may as well just keep going with the show and get rid of the manga. Because, like I said, I'm not trying to have manga in my collection that I don't really resonate with and want to reread. So I think I think this will be my last volume that I pick up until I read. Me saying that 38 volumes in. I need to figure that out first before I keep collecting for sure. But anyway, I picked that up at Half Price Books. The next one I picked up, I really want to get the hardcover color edition of this, but I already have the first volume of the regular manga, so I just want to have those two and then also the hardcover. And that is Attack on Titan No Regrets. Levi's my favorite character, so I do want to have the, both versions of it. But this just took me, I didn't want to buy it new because there's always like Attack on Titan stuff at Half Price Books. The quality is hit or miss of like the binding, but this one was good, and so I picked it up, and now I have both of No Regrets. So I said I was slowly making my way through this series, but I did forget that over the 3 months, these 3 months, I got a good chunk in of this series. And that's not to say I don't still have a ton left to collect, because I do. I was just going so slowly getting these. This looks like, it is a massive chunk, but also there's so many volumes that I didn't have a ton besides this. Anyway, I got Haikyuu, Volume 6, 7, 12, 13. Then I think out of like the earlier releases, now I have 1 through 13, but then it leaps because I don't have any volumes after that before I have 40, 42, 44, and the final volume. So I made a pretty good chunk of Haikyuu. I got a pretty good chunk of them during that 3-month stretch. I got a good little, the back end of it, and I kind of filled in my holes up to 13, but yeah, I got those. And then I mentioned in my last video that this is a series that I read part of the first volume of, and I was very interested, so whenever I go and there's some new volumes, if they're in good shape, I will get them, so that way I can start it at some point. But that is The Gray Man Volume 5, Volume 6, 9, and up to 27. So I was able to pick up 4 volumes of that. We're chugging along with that one. Another one I've already talked about that I'm still plugging away on is The Promised Neverland. I picked up Volume 5, 6, and 7. It was a good batch of months for filling in some holes, I'll say that. All right, so this next one, I will never recommend these to people, but I will buy them for myself because I know myself. And this just has a special place in my heart because this was one of the first manhwas I ever read, and it is disgusting and dark and violent and has every trigger warning you could think of. Some might say it's a BL. Are there BL elements? Sure, but I don't think it's a BL. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But I found them at half price books, and I don't want to buy them for full price, but if I find them at half price books, I'm going to get them. And I found, I think, like 4 volumes now of them at half price books. But anyway, Killing Stalking Volume 4 and Killing Stalking Volume 5. Thinking about it, it doesn't shock me that I find these at half price books, because I feel like sometimes people might pick these up like, oh, I'm curious about that, and it's wrapped when you buy it new, and then they read it and they'll be like, hey, actually I'm good on that, and they'll probably return it. And I don't blame them, because like I said, if anybody asks what manhwas I recommend, I'm not going to say these because they're something, but I have a soft spot for them and I like them just because I have that nostalgia. And I think, like, the story is well done. It's nothing against the author. It's very, in my opinion, it's well done. It's just, it's a lot. But yeah, so that is volumes 4 and 5 of Killing Stalking. Next up, another one I've already talked about, Tokyo Ghoul Volume 3. This was kind of when I was nearing the end of completing what I needed, so picked that up. And then this next one, I'm gonna be honest, I've been telling myself no more blind buys, which I've been sticking to, in terms of, like, even if it's a series I haven't read, I'll read in the store at least part of the first volume, the synopsis, see some reviews, whatever. Or just series I know I want to read, like, say, Assassination Classroom. I knew I wanted to read that. This one, I have no idea. I looked it up afterwards, and this is never anyone's top favorite in this series of manga. I got it purely because it was half price, and the nostalgia factor of the video game, because I loved this video game when it came out. I was obsessed with it. I played it all the time. But I got volumes 1 and 2 of Persona 5. I've never read any of the Persona manga at all. In fact, I don't think I played any of the Persona video games except for 5. Did I play 4? I might have dabbled in 4, like, a long time ago, but Persona 5 I loved, and then I saw these, because I always saw them at Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but then I saw them there, and I was like, I'll just grab them, because why not? Why not? Because you don't need to spend the money, but I still did. But if you have any information on this, even if it's bad, I don't care, let me know, because these were purely a nostalgia purchase. So I look at these covers and I hear the music in my head, you know? And then this last one is one that I've wanted to collect for a while, and I'm watching the show actively right now. It is like there's a bunch of anime that I am watching, but I will, like, pause on and continue later on, depending on how busy I am, whatever. This is like the one I'm actively watching. Because a friend put me onto it. I put a friend onto Jujutsu Kaisen. She's also new to anime and manga, and she put me on, even though I was planning on watching or reading it anyway. She put me on to Hunter x Hunter. She was so new that she had never heard of JJK, which is crazy to me, but she watched it. She's caught up on it. She wants to start reading the manga now of JJK, and she loves Hunter x Hunter. So I picked up a bunch of Hunter x Hunter. This is one that I've been very slowly collecting for a while, but up until now I had no idea what it was, really, except that it was popular, and I knew the main 2 characters' names. I knew Killua and I knew Gon's names, and that was it. But I picked up volumes 7, 26, 25, 31, and 35. So that is what I'm watching the big one I'm watching right now, and it's one of those that I really hope that the mangaka's okay. I feel really bad for the mangaka. I know that the show was, like, unofficially completed, or maybe, like, officially completed, although maybe one day there will be another season or a movie or something if we get more releases of the manga itself. But I'm only on season 2 right now, or the Heaven's Arena arc, but I love it so far. I love Hunter x Hunter so far. I'm not a person who the protagonist is one of my favorites, but for this, I love Gon. Killua's my favorite, but I think Gon is a very, very close second. But I really like almost all of the characters, and if I don't like a character, it's because I'm not supposed to, and I like hating them. I really am enjoying it so far, so I'm looking forward to reading the manga as well. Probably after I finish what's, the show, but that's when I'm getting through pretty quickly right now, and I'm spending some time on that for sure. So yeah, I picked up some Hunter x Hunter. When I picked those up though, I hadn't started watching it yet. I only started watching it recently. So that is everything that I had picked up between June, July, and August. Thank God. I think now we're good. We are caught up right now because I haven't had as much time to go out shopping, and I've been focusing on finances. I'm not going to do monthly. I'm going to do bi-monthly just for right now, just so that I have some more content in a video. Although if there's a month that I for some reason pick up a bunch, I'll just do. I don't even know. I don't know if that's the plan for sure. Maybe I'll do monthly and just make them less manga. I mean, I definitely won't even have this much for 2 months of September and October. Maybe I should just do monthly with less manga. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm digressing. Thank you so much for bearing with me for this kind of bizarre thing of going back all these months to what I purchased. I just really wanted to show you guys what I've been up to, and now I can finally get on to the next video, which will be, you see these, so I have a very dark background right now, but these boxes are from a shelf I was saving up for. So I'm planning the next video is probably going to be, I really need to get those up. I need to get that shelf up. It's a big shelf that I had been saving up for, and I want to put it up, and I want to show you guys how I'm going to organize it. I have some ideas, but I'm also kind of going to go off the fly, and I just wanted to be able to include all of this stuff in that video. And I could still do that, but then I'd have to take them back down to show you guys, and it just would have been a whole thing. So yeah, I'll explain more about it when I get that video out, but I'm definitely going to start putting that shelf together tomorrow, which means hopefully that video is getting filmed this week, and we can finally just be caught up with everything and just have everything set, and it will be a normal channel again. But again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, let me know what you think of any of these, good, bad, whether I've read them or not, or if you have any suggestions or any comments at all. And I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in my next video.